everyone, welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. This is Robin, the Delta Crafter, and today I'm going to share with you how I organize, label, and make a swatch book for the inks that I have. A couple of years ago, I was on YouTube and searching around for some new crafty inspiration. I wanted to get into card making more than I had in the past, and I ran across a wonderful lady by the name of Jennifer McGuire. Now, if you haven't watched any of Jennifer's videos on YouTube, I recommend that you do. She has some great information on her video, not just about card making, although that is her main form of crafting, but she also has information about new products that comes on the market. She reviews them, and she also has great tips for organization. And so today, I'm going to share with you one of the tips that I learned, or one of the things that I learned from her for organization. And that thing is actually making a swatch book. So this is my swatch book. It is exactly like the one that she has. And so what it is these plastic pockets here, pages here, that are actually coin collector pages. Each one of these pages has 20 pockets on it, and they are 2x2 squares, and they're made for coin collecting. But Jennifer used them to make little swatches of inks. So what I've done, it took me, I think, a day of just, pure dedication to figuring out the inks that I had, and then making the swatches of the inks, and then organizing the inks into the booklet. But it was definitely well worth it, because until I did this, I really did not know what inks I had, and even more so, how I could use those inks and mix those inks up to come up with a color palette that I really liked. So on Jennifer's website, which I'll leave a link to in the description box below, she already has several different inks that are out there on the market. She has these cards, these swatch book card templates already made up for all of the inks that they have. So it's just a blank card with the name already printed at the bottom. So if you go to her website, again, I'm going to leave the link below. You go to her website and search for the swatch books. You'll be able to find these pages for the various different inks that are out on the market. So I have swatch pages for distress inks, and then I also have swatch pages for my Stampin' Up inks. Those are the two types of inks that I have the most of, but she does have pages for other inks, such as Hero Arts inks and Altenew inks, and all different various kinds of inks. So definitely check that out. Once you get there, all of her pages are free downloads, and you just print them out, and then you print them, you cut them, excuse me, and then you get started making your template. I'm sorry, your swatches. So one of the things that Jennifer recommends is that you use some sort of stamp that is pretty solid, that will give you a good impression of the ink color. She had a stamp that was just a solid square that would also fit in the 2-inch dimensions of the swatch. And so I didn't have a solid square, but I did have a stamp that is this little bubble, like speech bubble, that says hello. So that's what this is here. And I already have it mounted up on my acrylic block, because I'm going to make a couple of swatches today. So that stamp came from this set right here, and I really don't even know who the maker is for this set. I think I bought it, I couldn't even tell you where I bought it. But anyway, it was the perfect size stamp to fit in this in the swatch, as well as you can tell it gives me a good impression of the color, so I can really tell what this color really looks like. If you use an outline stamp or something that is not as solid, it might not give you as good of a determination of what the color actually is. So go to Jennifer's website, print out the corresponding swatch cards to the inks that you have. Find a stamp in your set that is a pretty solid ink, solid image that can stamp out good like this, and then you're on your way. By the way, I found my coin collector cards at a local coin collecting store or coin store. But you can also order these on Amazon. I'll try to find a link and leave a link below for some of those, for some of the pages. So that's the swatch book. So today I'm going to make a couple of swatches and kind of go through the process of when I would have, when I would receive new inks. Also, by the way, because I don't have all the distress inks or distress oxide inks, I had a lot of cards left over from printing out all the swatch cards. And also I printed them out on cardstock so they would last a little bit longer. So in this little cup right here, I just have all of my leftover unused swatch cards that I didn't use at the time because I didn't have those inks. So in this stack is the distress inks, and down here at the bottom are the Stampin' Up! Inks. So I just keep these on hand, so as I add to my ink collection, I just pull them out of here and start stamping, and that's exactly what I've done today. So today I'm going to make a stamp card for Wilted Violet, Picked Raspberry, and Barn Door Distress inks. So I'm going to open up my ink, tap, 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 get my ink pretty juicy on there. I'll stamp it down. And there you go. So I'm going to clean off my stamp over here on my Stampin' Up! Stamp pad cleaner. Close that one up. This, if you're wondering what this is a one of the stamping mats that you can get from Ranger. And what I've done is I've taken, I think it comes in like 12 by 18, and I've taken it and cut it down so I could also use these as page protectors in my Bible when I'm doing my Bible art journaling. So I've just cut it down and made it a good size that would fit in my Bible when I'm working in that. So there's that one. Let's do Picked Raspberry. And as you can tell, sometimes you'll get a pretty solid image. Sometimes you won't. It just depends on how well you've inked up the stamp, how juicy your stamp pad is, and how hard you press too. A much better image, stamped image there. So that's Picked Raspberry. Now let's do Barn Door. So when I did this the first time, when I had a whole lot of inks to do and 2 different lines of inks, I put on some music and I just went to town that day. There's Barn Door. That is such a pretty red. So now Barn Door is done. That's the last of the ones I needed to do today. And there you go. So another thing that I do is I like to label the sides of my distress inks. Stampin' Up! Inks already come with a label on the side that tells you the name and the color, so I really, really like that. However, distress inks and distress oxide inks don't. So what I usually do is I take the ones that I'm working with, I type up their names on just regular copy paper, and then I cut them out and I tape them or glue them on the side of the ink pad. But I do it upside down because I store my distress inks upside down. And so I'd like for my label to read upside down. Well, it will read right side up, but the ink pad is upside down. So I like for my labels to be right here, and then I usually take a little bit of swatch of the ink and put it on the edge of the paper. So I'm going to show you how I do that. So I take the label and I cut it out. I guess this might be a, I don't know, 1/3 of an inch, if I had to guess, and how wide I'm making this. I just cut like that. Might need a little bit more. Here. All right. Cut that one there. I'll cut this one here. Okay. Sorry about that. And I trim it down just a little bit because I don't want it to be too long or wide. That one might be okay. Might want to make the font a little bit bigger next time. So then I take the stamp pad and the corresponding label, and I just kind of run the edge of it in the ink so that not only do I know the color, the name rather, but I can also see the color. So that's barn door, picked raspberry, and I just run it in there. Wipe it. You could also use your blending tool to do this as well if you wanted to, but I don't find that it's necessary. This works just fine for me. So those are done. And then I just take my ATG gun here that I have loaded up with some permanent adhesive. Just run a little bit of permanent adhesive on the back. And stick it on like so. Barn door. Oop, I almost put it on wrong. And last but certainly not least, picked raspberry. And there we have it. All my labels, all my inks are labeled. My swatch cards are made. Now it's just time to put the swatch cards in my swatch book and get these in my ink stash. I hope you guys have enjoyed this today. It's a little, sometimes it's a little things, the organization that helps you not only know what you have, but use what you have. So I hope these tips today have helped you get organized. Until next time, guys, bye-bye.